attacks with drones at Kana oil port in Shabwa province. UN Special Envoy asserts the need to push forward Yemen's political process. Tribesmen in El Jauf protest against the healthy looting of private properties. Welcome to Yemen Today TV. This is the English news with me, Rushan Fouad. The Houthi militia targeted by drones today Kana oil port in Shabwa Governorate. A source in Shabwa Oil Company said that the 2 Indian workers were injured. The Houthi drones targeted Kana oil port while a ship was unloading its cargo at the port. The source confirmed that the process of unloading the ship and its departure from the port was stopped after the Houthi attack. UN envoy for Yemen, Tim Lenderking, discussed with Omani Foreign Minister the importance of building on active peace efforts in Yemen. Both sides confirmed US and Oman's commitment to renewing the truce and establishing a durable ceasefire in Yemen. The United Nations Special Envoy reiterated the importance of finding a political solution to the Yemeni crisis. Those remarks come amid Houthi escalation on different war fronts. This report gives more details.
The Office of the Special Envoy said that Hans Gramberg concluded a visit to Riyadh, where he held constructive meetings with Saudi Ambassador to Yemen, Mohammed Al-Jaber, and diplomats from the Security Council's permanent members. The discussions focused on options to renew the truce and work toward the political process as a matter of urgency. The Yemeni government and the Presidential Leadership Council approved Granberg's proposal to renew and expand the truce. However, the Houthis rejected the proposal, demanding more gains, which the Security Council described as extremist demands. Despite the relative calm on the battlefronts, the UN accused the Houthis of committing war crimes, especially in Taiz, since the truce ended last month. Houthi leaders threatened to launch more attacks to prevent oil export from the ports on the Arabian Sea, while the Yemeni government asserts that it will protect the assets. The international community awaits Granberg's efforts to revive the collapsed truce, while the Yemeni government welcomed the recent Security Council condemnation, pointing to the urgent need to deter the Houthi militia and its actions that threaten regional and international peace and security. However, the Houthi militia responded to the Security Council's statement, condemning its attack on Al Dabba oil port by threatening to expand the attacks, saying that all options are open for a broader range of strict measures. The war ignited by the Houthi militia cast dark shadows on various segments of the Yemeni society and turned their dreams and future into mere nightmares.
Head of the Presidential Leadership Council, Rashad Al-Alimi, received the Executive Director of the United Nations Project Services Program. The meeting occurred on the sidelines of the Climate Summit Sharm el-Sheikh. Al-Alimi stressed the importance of expanding and doubling international support in the basic services sector in order to alleviate the impact of the war waged by the Houthi militia. Governor of Taiz, Nabil Shamsain, discussed with the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs in Yemen, OCHA, the needs related to basic services in the governorate. OCHA official confirmed that the United Nations will conduct a field visit to Taiz to check the governorate's plan for the next couple of years and will determine the necessary needs. The UN official also noted that the United Nations could turn from providing emergency aid to development and economic empowerment.
My name's Calvin Rice and I'm Halo's Director of Programs. I'm currently visiting the city of Taiz in Yemen. And I'm here just behind one of the front lines, which is separating southern forces from the Houthis. The front line is literally 250 meters from me on that hill. I've come to this area just to see how people are being affected by the conflict that's happened here over the last many years. And very sadly, what we're seeing is a place which has been very heavily damaged, but where fighting continues.
In El Jawf Governorate, tribesmen rose up against the Houthi militia who are trying to take their lands and properties by force. This report has more details.
The terrorist Houthi militia continues to target the cohesion of the Yemeni tribe and try to dismantle it, but it was shocked by the hardness, covenant and charter of the Yemeni tribe, who is fighting the remnant of the imamate and the darkness of the priesthood. The tribesmen in Jawf Governorate were aware of the danger of the militia's project based on looting citizens' properties. The tribes of Taham, Hamadan, Zuhussein, Bani Nawaf and Mahabib signed a tribal covenant document to confront the Houthis' repeated violations of their property in Al Jawf Governorate.
After the last incidents in Al Jawf Governorate, there was a cohesion between the tribes. They signed a tribal document for honor to protect the tribe from any aggressor. This document became a basic element in fortifying the tribe against any assault.
The Houthi militia tried to avoid the uprising of the tribes in Al Jawf Governorate and is still trying, with provocative practices and attempts to loot the lands of the citizens.
The tribe must join forces and have one word. This is evident when the Houthi rebels tried in Al Jawf to seize the lands of the tribes. All of the Hamdan tribes joined their efforts with others against the Houthi assault.
A series of Houthi violations committed against the tribes since Houthis took control of the governorate by force.
The tribe became the solid rock and the high dam that defends the republic, along with the army and the Republican Guard, against the Houthi rebels, who are trying by all means to break the social fabric of the Yemeni tribes.
The violations of the Houthi militia against the Yemenis are endless, and what is worse is that the militia has replaced the laws of the state with its own doctrine, legitimizing the plundering of the Yemenis and assaulting them and their properties.
The World Health Organization said Yemen recorded the highest number of conflict-related cases of death and injuries in the Eastern Mediterranean region. The organization added that 60% of the number of child deaths is related to war-related injuries. It pointed out that the absence of official emergency pre-hospital services contributed to the increase in complications of the injured. The International Organization for Migration announced that more than 55,000 citizens were forced to flee their homes since the beginning of 2022. The organization added that from the beginning of January to the 5th of November, about 10,000 families were displaced. A government report confirmed the displacement of 575 Yemeni families during the month of October from several governorates. The Executive Unit for the Management of Displaced People Camps reported the displacement of 575 families in October 2022. He pointed out that Ma'rib received most of the displaced families. Coming next. Looted Yemeni artifacts to be sold in London auction.
We are on a highway to climate hell with our foot still on the accelerator. We are getting dangerously close to the point of no return.
It seems to me that the choice is clear. Climate change and biodiversity loss are here, and we are already suffering the consequences.
If we are truly to make this COP
the one that drives implementation of the pledges made in Glasgow. We must equip ourselves with every tool and resource to facilitate our path to true net zero and work together.
I ask the people of the world, and not just the leaders, therefore, to hold us accountable and to ask us to act in your name to save this earth.
Humanity has a choice: cooperate or perish. So let's fight together and let's win.
Welcome back. Human rights sources said that the Houthi militia forcibly dispersed protests in the women's section of the central prison in Sana'a. The female prisoners protested against the deteriorating living conditions and the increase in violations. The sources called on international organizations and humanitarian agencies to consider the demands of the prisoners and provide them with assistance, while the rebels refused to respond to their demands. This comes days after the suicide of one of the female prisoners, Aisha El-Matari, in the central prison in Sana'a after having been subjected to severe torture. Child marriage in Yemen is a centuries-old human rights violation. Adults, especially those living in poverty, force young teenagers to marry men older than them for economic reasons. According to the UN, more than 4 million Yemeni girls are child brides. The following report gives more details.
Children in Yemen are forced to get married at a young age. Families that live under extreme poverty force their children to marry men that are twice their age, as a way to escape the responsibility of providing. Children face psychological harm from getting married at such age, in addition to facing abuse and life-threatening risks. A Yemeni man got arrested for forcing his 10-year-old daughter into marriage. Unfortunately, this isn't the first case for child marriage in Yemen. About 4 million children were forced into marriage, and Yemen is considered one of the highest rates of child marriage in the world. According to a 2017 UNICEF study, 32% of women aged 20 to 24 were married before the age of 18, and 9% were married before the age of 15. When getting married at an early age, many physical complications can happen. Child marriage puts risk on their health, and sometimes it leads to death. After getting married, children in Yemen lose their educational rights. The dreams and aspirations of the poor little girls are crushed, and life turns completely black. It doesn't end here, but husbands and family members expect a lot from these young girls. The issue of child marriage is not new in Yemen or the region. However, in addition to social tradition, Yemen's conflict has exacerbated conditions that have seen a rapid rise in the practice. Yemen's ongoing poverty has gotten worse as a result of the war and its poor economy. Around 24 million Yemenis depend on humanitarian aid, and educational facilities to stop child marriage have been delayed or abandoned entirely. Young girls in Yemen need physical and emotional protection. Child marriage must end, and it should be banned. These poor children need to be protected and to have their basic human rights.
Fears are mounting of a possible sale of a number of Yemeni antiques abroad. A Yemeni researcher said that dozens of Yemeni unlabeled artifacts are set for sale at a British auction house later this month. This report gives more details.
A Yemeni researcher says that dozens of unlabeled artifacts originating from Yemen are now for sale at a British auction house later this month. He noted that auctions will sell more than 6,000 ancient artifacts from around the world, including copper pieces looted from Yemeni museums and cultural heritage sites. Yemen is home to 4 UNESCO World Heritage Sites and recently joined the 1970 Convention Against Trafficking. In addition to Britain, Yemeni artifacts are also traded in the United States, and U.S. officials have been working to curb sales. While some pieces in the current auction have an identifiable origin, others do not, making it unclear when they were taken, and the lack of proper identification, as well as the ongoing destruction of museums and archaeological sites, further contributes to the elimination of Yemeni cultural memory. Monuments have been damaged, looted, and their artifacts have been smuggled out of the country. This is particularly the case for sites within conflict areas. and the wider the current conflict spreads, the more danger is posed to all towns and other historical locations, where combat groups have rooted themselves with catastrophic consequences. UNESCO was informed of damage to sites of outstanding cultural significance in Yemen. Therefore, they called on all parties in the conflict to protect Yemen's cultural heritage and refrain from targeting, by shelling or by airstrikes, or using for military purposes, cultural heritage sites and buildings. The Yemeni Antiquities Authority, academics, and civil society groups dedicated to preservation of historical sites are already appealing to the parties involved in the conflict to stay away from historic places and spare them from damage, in order to save Yemen's remaining cultural assets, which are at the same time an inheritance for the whole humanity. People of Yemen feel they are losing their identity, as when someone erases the past, citizens lose not just information, but ways for people to talk about their history.
In the context of seeking to provide patients' needs of oxygen, the first factory for filling oxygen cylinders was opened in Abyan Governorate and officially entered into service to cover the needs of health facilities. The following report gives more details.
In a medical breakthrough and a good humanitarian gesture, the city of Zanzibar in Abyan Governorate witnessed the launching of the first factory for filling oxygen cylinders in Zanzibar Hospital, in the presence of the Secretary General of the local council, Mr. Mahdi Al-Hamid, that is funded by the Islamic Development Bank through the World Health Organization, as well as the support of the Ministry of Health, as the first industrial project for oxygen in the governorate.
The opening of the first oxygen factory in Zanzibar Hospital to alleviate the suffering of patients. The factory produces daily approximately 100 oxygen cylinders, and it will serve all Abyan Governorate hospitals. The factory is equipped with the latest technologies and major pressure and heat system, as well as a safety system.
The factory, which came after a great and long suffering for patients, today represents a qualitative leap in the health sector and an important medical project that will contribute to alleviate the suffering of patients, reduce the cost of financial burdens, and filling the gap of need that health facilities suffer from by supplying the various health facilities in the governorate with cylinders. The factory will operate with a production capacity of 100 cylinders per day.
This factory indeed will serve all medical sectors in Abyan Governorate. It's been launched in time due to the lack of oxygen cylinders, and today 100 of oxygen cylinders will be produced.
What an accomplishment to open the oxygen cylinder factory today in Abyan, as we are in desperate need for oxygen cylinders at COVID-19 Medical Center and to back up all the governmental medical facilities.
The factory is characterized by modern technologies, advanced equipment, and a qualified medical staff that is capable of meeting all the needs of health facilities for oxygen supply in the governorate, which helps them to combat all epidemics and provide medical care to patients according to the finest integrated and distinguished health services.
Here is a reminder of the main headlines. Houthi militia attacks with drones at Al-Qanna oil port in Shabwa province. UN Special Envoy asserts the need to push forward Yemen's political process. Tribesmen in Al-Jawf protest against the Houthi looting of private properties. This is the end of the news. It was Roshan Fouet. Thank you for watching.